What's up, everybody? It's Sin, and we're back with Auto Brain Tuning. And today we've got a question. Can you feel a $1 million GT3 car through a $400 Steam Deck? This and more. Let's get into it. So here's the deal. No fancy motion rigs, no triple screens, no 5090 PC, just a Steam Deck, a Logitech G920, and some tinkering with some Steam input. We're going to run the Mclaren 720S around Ibarra. It's a short circuit, but it's extremely technical, very smooth, medium speed corners, light elevation changes, but there's not much room for error as the curbs are very tight to each other. I picked this track, and if you've watched any of our previous videos, I picked this track mainly because it helps with sway bars. And it also stresses both the car and the input system, as the McLaren 720 is a razor sharp handling vehicle. So if there's any delay, sloppy curves, or bad force feedback, it'll show. This track also exposes bad suspension setup as well. So the simple question is, can the Steam Deck give you the same confidence as a full desktop motion rig simulator? I think it can, and we're going to find out in this video. The 720 is a monster. It is a monster. Let's jump into the pit. Let's race. Listen to that 3.8. Listen to it. Did I mention that you can hear the turbo spool even at idle? Welcome to Ibarra, everybody. Let's get rolling. I just let that roll. That sounds great. The throttle response feels right. There's no weird input delay, which is rare because running something on a ARM GPU, you usually have major input delay. I've got linear steering curve set up through Steam input, and Razer Studios has a Logitech preset for the G920. So the G920 almost has a direct feel. It's not twitchy, it's not gritty, it's very smooth. Aside from that, the frame pacing is also smooth too. I've got it locked around 62 frames per second with dips sometimes down to 58 frames, but not noticeable. And that's what keeps the immersion alive. The force feedback detail is strong. Automobilista's physics model transfers every bump, the curves, the divots, the dips, and you can see as I'm driving along, you'll notice the car bounce and transition front and back as I hit the brakes. And if you look at the tire model, you'll also see as we go through lap over lap over lap, these being our early warm-up laps, everything is progressive. The heating of the brakes, the heating of the tires, the force feedback, the steering input, the throttle input, even the braking input. Everybody knows how notorious the G920's brake pedal can be. The brake input is even extremely linear. AMS2 has this physics model that transfers, you know, every bump and slide cleanly. Braking zones also feel pretty progressive. That's what the line is for, so you guys can see how progressive the brakes are and the direction I'm going on the track. The brakes feel more analog than they do digital. There's something in the FX that comes through the steering wheel that gives you an ABS or a lockup feeling, and I think that's pretty good. Even when the car idles in the pit, it vibrates through the steering wheel, which is a sweet add-on. As you see, the deck's holding up. No frame dips, no audio stutter. This is where the 720S starts to show its bite. It rotates fast, so you gotta trust the rear end to stick. And for a handheld system driving this level of fidelity, it's nuts. You couldn't have convinced me years ago that this would exist. Input feels one-to-one. If I didn't know better, I would say that this was on a desktop, maybe with a older graphics card, but it feels very new, very fresh. As you see, I'm trail braking through these corners and the car's not really getting out of shape. I have a trust in it. I also have a trust in the setup, but I have a major trust in the force feedback and the fidelity that the sim offers, even through a Steam Deck. You can feather the throttle, you can, you know, if you're driving with a manual, you can rev match downshift. Watch these curves here. Into the main hairpin. And up the main straight. What I will say is the physics models coupled with the tire models coupled with the refined and revised steering wheel inputs, you look at that downshift, the double downshifts. I'm amazed. I think the question, can you feel a $1 million GT3 car through a $400 Steam Deck, has been answered. For me, and for many others like me, this is mainly a portable option. Docked, this thing is great. If you have a powered USB-C dock, a Logitech G920, 923, maybe a Thrustmaster, 100% viable. We're coming into the later part of the hot lap session, and as you see, all of our components are in the green. They're not completely green, obviously, we're the only car on the track with enough heat in the track. But as you see, we're able to push harder and harder and harder without the car even under braking in this wide sweeper. Doesn't seem to get out of shape. With the progressive brake pedal, I have modded my brake pedal, and I will explain that in a rig video. Maybe I'll do a video where I explain how I've optimized my G920 to perform how you see it performing right now. The 720 is my personal favorite road car and GT3 car. It is a phenomenally handling vehicle. It does unreal things. It really does. In the hands of someone who has the patience and the wherewithal to drive it around the track, it definitely does. The sound though. Let's talk about the sound. Let's step away from fidelity and feel and all the technical stuff. Listen to this car. That's outrageous. That is outrageous. Deep, mechanical, just raw, raw GT3 car sound. You feel the turbo. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna make everybody laugh here. The turbo is connected to the gas pedal, and I know that's like, well, duh, the turbo's connected to the gas pedal, but in this game there is a effects feeling that as you adjust the boost pressure, it's felt through the turbo and responds. It's felt through the gas pedal and responds through the steering wheel. I think that's pretty interesting. But watch this. Let's get a bird's eye view. All right, here's the replay from the last hot lap. Look how settled the car is entering Sector 2 in the big sweepers. This is where the Steam Deck has impressed me the most. Honestly, I expected this not to work. I expected the wheel not to work. I expected hiccups in the force feedback. I expected dropped frames, but it stays smooth on the entire run. This isn't a gimmick. I'm not trying to sell you on it, but if you've got a 920, a 923, Thrustmaster, a powered hub, a little patience with steam input, like I said earlier, you can legit build a pocket sim racer that travels everywhere. It's unreal. Look how settled it is. Look at it go, everybody. All right. So let's go. Let's go. We're back in the pits. Let's give some serious info here. The temps on the GPU, the Steam Deck overall stay under 70 degrees Celsius. I see average temps of 62 to 65 degrees Celsius on the Steam Deck the whole session. I also have it sitting in a fan dock, so that helps. AMS2 is wildly heavy on the GPU and the VRAM and the CPU, but it stays consistent. The 920 doesn't get hot. I don't have this famed, knocking noise. Turn your force feedback down. If your 920 is knocking, turn your force feedback down. No clipping either, which is pretty interesting because clipping is a big issue with the 920. No weird torque drops. And a torque drop is when you're in the middle of the corner and you have feeling the wheel is loaded up and then it just disappears, and midway through the corner you hit the gas and then it reappears. So yeah, none of that. If you're wondering whether the Steam Deck can handle serious sim work, it can. It's all about setup and your tuning. Tuning is the key. You don't lose precision. You just have to be mindful of how the deck handles power and heat. It really does handle power and heat. There's some mods that you can do. I will probably touch on them in another video where I explain what's going on with the Steam Deck. But the 720 Evo is a beast, and getting it to behave on a portable hardware made this test a blast. For anyone on the fence about building a compact sim setup, maybe you don't have the space in the house, I've proved it already. You can do it. I'm thinking about an endurance test next. longer stint, maybe some night racing, to see how consistent the Steam Deck can stay in different atmospheres and different time. I think that this video does prove, yes, you can feel a $1 million GT3 car on a $400 LCD Steam Deck. It is 100% viable. I appreciate you all watching. Hit the sub if you're building your own mini rig. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have a handheld device like a Steam Deck or Ally. And let's keep this momentum rolling. I think we have something here. I like to see all my portable sim races out there one day at a sim expo in a booth. We appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe. This is Auto Brain Tuning, and I'm out.